Good morning. Good to have you with us on a busy Friday. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We begin with that breaking news out of Russia this morning.
Jailed Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has died. That is according to Russian media citing the Russian prison service. It said that Navalny, quote, felt unwell and almost immediately lost consciousness. Navalny, who is a vocal critic of President Putin, was serving a 19-year sentence on charges that he said were politically motivated.
NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel takes a look at Navalny's life.
As Russia's leading opposition figure, Alexei Navalny piled pressure on the Kremlin and put a target on his back. Born in 1976 in what was then the Soviet Union, Navalny trained as a lawyer and rose to prominence as a political blogger. In 2011, he started the Anti-Corruption Foundation, which exposed the extravagant wealth of Russian officials, including President Vladimir Putin.
The biggest thing that Putin is afraid of is public discontent in Russia, and that is why it's so afraid of opposition leaders.
Navalny's and Putin's stars were intertwined. As Putin tightened his grip on power, Navalny became a leading figure at anti-government protests. "We will force them to live by the law because we hold the power here," he shouted. He was arrested countless times and turned attacks to his advantage. In 2017, after announcing his intentions to run for president, Navalny was attacked with green dye twice. "Maybe the Kremlin thinks that I will not record videos with a green face," he said, "but now even more people will watch." In 2019, as Navalny's Anti-Corruption Foundation gained support nationally, police raided their offices and arrested several activists, including, of course, Navalny. But in 2020, his life was threatened like never before. On a plane traveling from Siberia to Moscow, Navalny became deathly ill. He fell into a coma and was put on a ventilator. While recovering in a German hospital, investigators revealed he had been poisoned with Novichok, a Soviet-era neurotoxin. Navalny blamed Putin for the attack, a claim the Kremlin denies. Miraculously, Navalny recovered and participated in the investigation into his own poisoning, documenting the whole thing on social media. Despite the threats against his life, in January 2021, Navalny and his wife Yulia voluntarily returned to Moscow, where he was immediately arrested, ostensibly for violating the terms of a 2014 embezzlement case. Once in jail, he was tried and sentenced to more than 9 years in a maximum security prison. Navalny said the charges were politically motivated. But even behind bars, he found ways to make his voice heard, using social media to protest the Ukraine war and needle those in power. His legacy is one of defiance, a constant thorn in the side of the Kremlin. Richard Engel, NBC News.
All right, thanks to Richard for that report, and we will stay on it throughout the morning. Now let's head to Atlanta, where this morning Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis will be back on the stand following her fiery testimony yesterday. Willis is the DA who charged former President Donald Trump with trying to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results.
Willis took the stand in her own defense over misconduct allegations that could lead to her removal from the case. In a contentious back and forth, she acknowledged having a relationship with Nathan Wade, who she hired as special prosecutor in Georgia's case against the former president, but she denied the relationship was improper. The hearing focused on whether Willis benefited financially in the form of romantic getaways. Here are some of the highlights from yesterday's dramatic testimony.
Mr. Wade visits you at the place you laid your head.
When?
Has he ever visited you at the place you laid your head?
So let's be clear, because you lied in this. Let me tell you which one you lied in. Right here. I think you lied right here. No. This is the truth,
Judge.
And it is a lie. It is a lie.
Ms. Willis? Mr. Sena, thank you. We're going to take 5 minutes.
It's highly offensive when someone lies on you, and it's highly offensive when they try to implicate that you slept with somebody the first day you met with them.
Ms. Willis is a very, as am I, we're private people. Not, our relationship wasn't a secret. It was just private.
I kept something private. That's my private life. Is not any mystery to anyone. It's like a woman doesn't have the right to keep her private life private. I don't need anything from a man. A man is not a plan. A man is a companion. And so there was tension always in our relationship, which is why I would give him his money back. I don't need anybody to foot my bills. The only man who's ever foot my bills completely is my daddy. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
All right, let's break it all down. We're joined by NBC News correspondent Blaine Alexander outside the Fulton County Courthouse in Atlanta and NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Thank you both for being here. Blaine, let's start with you. Before yesterday, there were some questions about whether Willis would testify at all. She did. We'll hear from her again today. Walk us through the dramatic day in the courtroom and what were the big takeaways.
Well, the biggest thing was it was a surprise to everybody who was sitting in that courtroom, everybody who was watching it live at home or wherever, and even to members of her legal team who at the very time that she walked into that courtroom were arguing to try and keep her from the stand. And so you saw this moment, this kind of dramatic moment play out where she walked into the courtroom, preceded by her security, of course. She walked into the courtroom as Anna Cross was arguing that the subpoena should be quashed. They kind of met eyes at one point, and Willis made it clear that she wanted to take the stand. She basically walked in and said, let's go. And then about 2 hours of testimony ensued from there. So I think that it was very clear that she walked in ready to have this conversation. These allegations have been out there for more than a month now. Aside from her speech at the MLK Day ceremony and her written motion response, she hasn't addressed them. So this really was the first time that she was coming in and able to, as you can see, express some of her frustration with what she saw in that motion. Now, as for the substance of what she said, she maintained, as did Nathan Wade, that their relationship began after she hired him to work on the Trump Georgia election interference case. So after November of 2021, she said that they never cohabitated together. And one thing that they both made a very strong point of driving home is that either they split their costs evenly or she reimbursed him for travel. Now, that's a very big piece, of course, because the entire underpinning of the defense's argument is that she improperly financially benefited from the trips she's taking. She said, no, I paid him back. I paid him back in cash, so she doesn't have receipts for it, but that she paid him back roughly everything that he spent for that, and it was split evenly, guys.
Danny, let's bring you in here. So as Blaine just laid out, I mean, she comes in and physically takes the stand as her lawyers are trying to explain why she should not have to do so. Then it gets quite combative. Many times people would not be advised to take the stand in a case like this. What do you make of the fact that she did so, and did she help or hurt herself?
She helped herself in terms of she made some great speeches. There's some great sound that you saw. She stood up for herself, but did she testify well as a witness? No, not by any metric. She didn't answer questions. She answered the questions she wanted to answer. She had to be brought back onto the rails by the judge, who I think the judge should have done more often. And sometimes she was so rambling, she forgot what the original question was. She had a mission. She was going to make a statement, whether or not she was asked the question that she wanted to answer or not. So in a strange way, was she technically a good witness? Did she follow the rules of evidence? Absolutely not. And she knows that. She's obviously the elected DA of Fulton County. But was it effective? It may have been. By rambling on and taking up so much time, she fatigued the judge. I felt she fatigued Ashley Merchant, who was the main lawyer questioning her. And it may have saved the day for her because by the end of the day, I mean, they didn't really get to the core of their burden of proof. And by that, I mean the defense showing, or at least having to show, or getting to admit, that's what they wanted to do, is get her to admit that there was some benefit given to her by Nathan Wade. And I don't think that they got there, but it's not because Fani Willis testified properly the way witnesses are supposed to.
Let's talk more about that, because the goal here for Trump and his co-defendants, they want her disqualified from the case. Just how high is that bar to have Willis and Wade disqualified from the case? And do you see anything that reaches that bar?
I really thought at the beginning of the day that the defense had a real shot. I also believe Nathan Wade's testimony was not very credible, because at the core of this issue is a not very credible proposition. A lot of people today are talking about, hey, man, what's the big deal? People deal in cash. They have large amounts of cash. Number one, I agree with you. By the way, you know who doesn't agree with you? Law enforcement. Law enforcement uses large amounts of cash routinely as evidence of criminality. You know what I've never seen in a police report? Suspect had drugs and checkbooks. They never care about checkbooks. Cash is evidence of criminality. Not that there's any evidence of criminality here, but my point is I think there's nothing wrong with cash. Law enforcement disagrees. The other part of this is not about whether it's okay or not okay to have cash. It's about whether the explanation that Fani Willis has for never having received anything of benefit from Nathan Wade is credible. And I ask you, of all the dates, I ask you, Savannah, did you ever, after a trip with your husband, peel off a wad of thousands and reimburse him for a trip to Aruba? I have yet to find anyone who's done that. Maybe Fani Willis is the only person to have ever done that. That doesn't make it credible.
Blaine, as we mentioned earlier, Willis set to return to the stand today. What can we expect in the courtroom? How is this going to get underway, and when could we get a ruling?
Well, I think almost to Danny's point, we're going to hear her addressing a lot of the things that perhaps some people did find less than credible. We know that she's going to be back on the stand. She's going to be the first witness. Court gets underway at 9 a.m. We know that her side is going to spend about 4 or 5 hours calling witnesses of their own. One of them will be Fani Willis's father. He's going to testify remotely from California. And so we're certainly going to see possibly some more fiery testimony, but her kind of making some of her own points in this. And then in terms of a ruling, we know that the judge isn't going to rule from the bench. We already know that. It's possible that this extends into early next week as well. So what we think the judge will do, what we know the judge will do, is go back, consider the evidence, and issue a written ruling at some point in the days to come, guys.
All right. Blaine Alexander, thank you so much. Danny, stick around. We're going to have you talk about our next story.
Yeah, meanwhile, that's here in New York. A verdict is expected today in the $370 million civil fraud trial against former President Trump.
The verdict is going to be delivered by Judge Arthur Engoron, capping a trial that began more than 4 months ago. Trump and his company are accused of inflating the value of business assets in order to get better terms on loans. The judge has already ruled that Mr. Trump inflated his wealth on financial statements. Today's verdict will determine the penalties, exactly how much Trump and his organization could owe.
The multi-million-dollar lawsuit was brought on by New York Attorney General Letitia James. In addition to the proposed $370 million in penalties, James is also looking to ban the former president from conducting future business in New York's real estate industry. For more on what we can expect on this one today, we are joined by NBC News national correspondent Yasmin Vasugian. And as we said, Danny Savalas is still here on set with us. Yasmin, I'll start with you. Good morning. What can we expect from the judge today? Could this be a real day of reckoning for the former president and his company?
I mean, a huge day of reckoning. If you think about, I think, the former president's brand and who he was before he was president of the United States and who he has based his entire identity on his real estate empire here in New York City. And he did through the 80s, the 90s as well. He's written multiple books about it. Judge Engoron has already said that the former president and his business is engaged in fraud. This is dating back, of course, to the trial that began on October 7th, in which the former president, along with his 3 children, testified in this trial. The decision is set to come out today. And as you reminded folks, and I'll remind you once again, AG Letitia James seeking $370 million, along with the former president and his businesses being banned forever from the New York State real estate industry. This is going to be, and I cannot say this enough, I know Danny has said this on air as well, and he can back me up on this, a major gut punch, the former president of the United States, if in fact he has to pay out $370 million and is no longer able to engage in real estate businesses here in New York City. And you couple that, guys, by the way, because I was on air with you with the E. Jean Carroll case as well, with the $83 million he's going to have to pay out with E. Jean Carroll, and these multiple cases that are continuing to go on. The former president has an uphill battle here, but this is going to be major today as we await this decision from Judge Engoron.
So, Danny, of course, one big headline will be the number that he'll have to pay. But this idea that he could be banned from New York real estate, what would be the ripple effect of that for Trump and his business? And does he have appeal options?
Well, first, what would that ban even look like? It could be thou shalt not perform business activities in New York, or it could have to do with, remember, they've canceled the business charter. So is that canceling the business or even the assets, meaning the buildings? So who ends up owning those buildings? What happens to these companies? Do they get taken over by something else? It's really going to be interesting to see how this remedy is crafted. And then, of course, appeal options, absolutely. And in fact, I might even expect a stay of all this execution, of all of these proceedings, while this goes up to the appellate division in the First Department on appeal. And I think that the defense will get a stay. So this is probably not going to be something that immediately goes into effect. And even if it did, it's such a major sea change in the corporate structure that it would be difficult to do overnight. So whatever Justice Engoron decides, it's probably not going to be something that we're going to see the ripple effects of right away, because there's going to be an appeal right away. And I believe they get an automatic appeal up to the Court of Appeals as well.
Yasmin, let's once again switch gears, as we've been doing for the last few minutes here on this show, to talk about a different issue. Yesterday, when we were talking to you, you were outside the courthouse. That was not for the civil fraud trial that's coming to an end, presumably today. That was for this hush money trial that now we know will get underway next month. It's where we saw the former president yesterday in court. The presiding judge denied this attempt to have the criminal charges dismissed. What else happened inside that courtroom yesterday?
Savannah, he denied it immediately. Literally 5 minutes in yesterday, he said, motion denied, motion to dismiss denied. And then the rest was really kind of about back and forth when it comes to Q&A for jury selection. March 25th, the date is set. That is when the trial is beginning. And it was interesting because the judge in that case actually mentioned that he had spoken to Judge Chutkan to figure out the date for this trial and recognized that they could clear the way for this trial to move forward on March 25th because it seems the D.C. case has been stalled because of the immunity case that is still pending, obviously, with the Supreme Court. We know we're waiting that response from Jack Smith. But that being said, March 25th, date is set. It's going to last about 6 weeks or so, the judge said. They talked a lot about Q&A when it comes to the jury selection. One of the things that they dialed in on, guys, which I thought was really interesting, was where you're getting your news and media from. And they talked a lot about wanting to ask the jurors kind of their political affiliation to understand whether or not they really support the former president of the United States or not. They also wanted to ask the jurors if, in fact, they believe the 2020 election was stolen. There was some pushback for that from the former president's attorneys. That took up the majority, I have to say, of the rest of the hearing yesterday. But we really have to look forward to 6 weeks of the trial in which the former president is there every single day. Just a reminder, as we talked about yesterday, this is a criminal trial. So the former president has to be there. And he's possibly looking at 4 years in prison with a Class C felony.
So, Danny, Trump has acknowledged repaying his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, classifying these as legal payments. Real quickly here, what's his defense?
That was one of several defenses that they used yesterday to try and get the case thrown out. And as Yasmin pointed out, it was denied right away. But that will remain on the record for appeal. They would have a better shot on appeal. Among them were that he's been charged with too many counts for one crime. So, for example, if somebody robs a bank, you can't charge them with 4 different crimes that are essentially the same. You robbed a bank was robbed, there was a robbery at the bank and you did it. You can't take one event and extract from that several different crimes. Related to that is the theory that, hey, Trump paid this attorney out of his personal funds for personal services. That should not be imputed to the business. I think the other courts have already dismissed that idea. So most of these arguments are probably not going to make any headway. They didn't make any headway in the motion to dismiss.
All right. Danny Ceballos, thank you for covering it all this morning. Yasmin, thank you very much. Well, an FBI informant is facing 2 federal charges for allegedly lying to the agency about President Joe Biden and his son Hunter during the 2020 presidential campaign. The Justice Department says 43-year-old Alexander Smirnov has been arrested in Las Vegas.
The 37-page indictment comes from special counsel David Weiss, who was appointed to look into Hunter Biden. The indictment alleges that Smirnov provided false derogatory information to the FBI by claiming to the FBI that the Ukrainian energy company Burisma once hired Hunter Biden because they said he would, quote, protect us through his dad from all kinds of problems. Smirnov is also accused of falsely telling the FBI that Burisma officials told him that they had paid the president and his son $5 million. It was this account that has become a key component behind Republicans' ongoing impeachment inquiry into President Biden. A detention hearing for Smirnov has been scheduled for a federal court in Las Vegas next Tuesday. New details are emerging in the investigation into that deadly shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. Police are now saying they have 2 juveniles in custody in connection with the shooting and that the tragedy was the result of a dispute between several people.
1 person was killed and 22 others were wounded or injured during the shooting. Police identified the person who was fatally shot as Lisa Lopez Galvan. Her siblings spoke with NBC News yesterday and shared their thoughts about how she should be remembered.
She just brought people together. She did it to bring happiness, and even in sad times in other instances. That's who she was. She wanted pure joy.
She's just not a statistic. Lisa was a lot more than just a number. She was a very wholesome, very caring, very loving individual.
NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber joins us now from Kansas City with more on this. Ellison, good morning. So police say they have at least 2 people in custody in connection with the shooting, but we know there's juveniles, which means information can be limited. So what do we know about the suspects and a possible motive?
Right, so police say right now the people that they have in custody, 2 of them are juveniles. Previously, they'd said they had 3 people in custody tied to this shooting. We don't have specific details on names or ages, and that's because they have not yet been formally charged in this case. But at a press conference yesterday, the Kansas City police chief said in part, we have subjects detained, 2 of which are juveniles. We are working to determine the involvement of others. She was then asked by reporters there, does that mean possibly you think there are other suspects, other shooters still out there currently among the public? She said this in part, quote, we are not closing the door and giving direct numbers on this. This is still an active investigation. We are asking the public, if anyone witnessed the shooting directly, to still contact police. We want to make sure that anyone who is responsible for yesterday is brought to justice. At that press conference, I asked the police chief if they knew these individuals in custody, either Kansas City Police or any other law enforcement agencies prior to this. The police chief said that, as well as the relationship between these individuals, is still under investigation. But as you said, Savannah and Joe, they say they have confidently ruled out that this could possibly be terrorism or some sort of homegrown violent extremism. They say this act of violence stemmed from a dispute between individuals. Savannah, Joe?
Ellison, we mentioned that we now know the person who was killed. They've been identified. This is a popular local radio DJ, Lisa Lopez Galvan. I know you've been talking to people in the community. Just a moment ago, we heard from some siblings. What have you learned about her?
Yeah, she was the co-host of a popular radio show at KKFI, a local station here. It was called A Taste of Tejano. She was very well known and beloved, particularly within Kansas City's Hispanic community. She was married for 22 years. She had 2 adult children. She was a sister, a friend to many. Her co-host, who's worked with her for the last 2.5 years, let us come to the station yesterday to hear a little more about her, to see where she worked. I want you to listen to what he had to say, because he can explain it better than I can. Listen.
I don't think really she had acquaintances. Anytime you knew her, she always treated you like you were her closest friend. You were her focus. And she has a lovely husband, 2 lovely children, a great family, and they were all just so kind and so honored to have such a great sister. You know, she was always the light of the party. She was always the life of the party. Was always down for a great time, and she'll be missed, definitely. I mean, she just showed great.
When you think back to the last Tuesday you spent together, have you replayed those last moments just again and again? I mean, how do you begin to process this? Multiple times.
Mm-hmm. You know, we walked down in the parking lot from the station here, and I told her, you know, be careful, have fun, be careful, and I'll see you next Tuesday. She said, okay, bye, and jumped in her truck and was excited to go see her Chiefs. She's an avid Chiefs fan, and she loved her Chiefs, so she was where she wanted to be. She was in a happy place.
When we talked to him, he kept smiling as he talked about Lisa, because he said she was just so good and so happy and so full of life, that is how he remembers her, not the way that she died. This morning, a GoFundMe that was set up to benefit the family. There were 2 large donations listed, $50,000 each, $100,000 in total. And the name on those donations was Taylor Swift. Our team spoke to her publicist this morning, and they confirmed that she made those donations to Lisa Lopez Galvan's family, hoping to help them as they move forward from all of this. Savannah, Joe.
All right. Clearly a person who impacted so many people in such a positive way. Ellison Barber, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Let's switch gears now and get a check on your morning news now weather.
Meteorologist Angie Lastman joins us with the forecast. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. We've got a couple of systems that we're tracking that could bring the potential of snow to some folks here as we gear up for our weekend. We've got an exiting Clipper system. We talked about this yesterday. It's out of here, but we're still seeing some of these lingering cold winds that are leaving us with some snow showers remaining downwind of the lakes. It's going to be a little blustery out there for folks that live in the Northeast. You'll be able to notice just how strong and cold those winds are. So those will stick with us for a little while. But like I said, that system's on the way out. But we're gearing up for our next system that's going to work out of the plains, eventually impact folks from Missouri to the mid-Atlantic. And we've got the alerts to prove it. Right now, there's some alerts up out west, but we've also got these stretched across parts of the Midwest and into the mid-Atlantic. 47 million total people are included in these across the country. And here's the system that we're going to be tracking through the day today, into the overnight hours tonight, and into early tomorrow before it quickly pushes out. As you gear up for your first half of today, it's going to be basically parts of Missouri to the Ohio Valley that we'll see some of that snow working through. We'll also see a couple of spots dealing with some rain. You can see places like Knoxville down to Memphis could see some of the rain, but the snow is going to be focused across parts of the Ohio Valley. It'll be light to moderate, and then early tomorrow morning, you might notice a little bit of snow along the I-95 corridor. New York to Washington, D.C. could pick up a couple of inches. I'll show you those amounts here in a moment, but then it slowly starts to wrap up, and we'll just be left with some scattered snow showers for the second half of your Saturday. There's those totals as promised. Places like Philadelphia, 2 to 4 inches possible. I think some of those higher amounts in the higher elevations could be upwards of 5 inches. Overall, places like New York, 1 to 3 inches. You might see some flurries in the city early tomorrow morning. Indianapolis, you could pick up a couple of inches as well. Savannah is grinning because I said flurries in New York City.
We're not done yet.
Not happy about the next storm system, though, out west, I'm sure. We've got a couple of them at that. We're going to see, again, really heavy rain, guys, and multiple systems that are going to bring big batches of that rain to the already soaked west coast. And this is going to be something we'll deal with over the next couple of days. Flash flooding will be a problem, specifically in California. A couple of inches of rain here through the weekend.
All right. Thank you, Angie.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.